Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for waiting. We're coming live at you from the MMC Gamuda booth, and we are talking to Mr. Sri and Mr. Mahadi. We're talking about systems integration in Malaysia's first MRT. So exciting stuff, and there's been a lot of talk about this in the industry. So we'll kick it off, and we'll talk about what is systems integration and why is it so complex. Maybe Mr. Sri, you'll kick us off.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sri from MMC Gamuda. So it's to start off the sessions to answer your question. What is systems integration? System integration is basically a subset of a railway engineering field to basically coordinate, all right, and integrate all relevant subsystems of a railway project so that it will deliver its dedicated functions, which is basically to comply with safety function and also deliver a reliable and optimum performance of the railway. So that is basically a glimpse of what system integration is. It's basically, if you look at a human body being a rail network, you have a lot of organs which is serving its own functions. And similarly, a rail network comprises of signaling systems, track works, power supply, integrated control. So what system integration does is integrating all these subsystems so that the human body, or in this case the rail network, can operate properly and accordingly. So that is what system integration is.
Mr. Berhad, I think that was a pretty good answer, right? Do we need to add on anything else there?
I think he more or less got it on the spot there, actually.
Nailed it. Thank you, Mr. Sri. So, moving on to our next question. How do we manage these challenges given that using system integration is relatively new in Malaysia?
All right. Probably an additional aspect of system integration that I would like to elaborate from my colleague Sri is that for MRT project in Klang Valley, system integration is a necessity driven by the fact that the project delivery partner model split up the procurement of system packages into separate contracts. This was done in the interest of keeping the risk, the cost, and the control of schedule to be in a manageable level. Another country and another project might select different model. For example, a turnkey solution for the overall railway system engineering. In that model, the overall responsibility and risk of integrating goes to one party. But MRT in KL, from the beginning, the role of putting it together, that's what the system integration terminology refers to, falls back to the project delivery partner. So we acknowledge the complexity of this role, and the way that it is managed is by employing the traditional process in dealing with design, coordination, and integration, followed by the installation and later on test. And this will be the key process step that we do.
Anything to add there, Mr. Sri?
You started it off by saying it's SI, which is system integration, is relatively new. Yes. But I think we do acknowledge that this is not something new, but it's been there in the industry, system integrations, but it is not being looked at very efficiently or importantly because to address SI matters at a very early phase of the projects are very essential and important to reduce abortive works and also redesigning and those kind of things. So to address this at the upper hand, we have to look into system integration matters at a very early phase of the projects. So that is one of the aspects that we are taking care in PDP.
How are we training local talent in systems integration so as to build the local expertise?
Well, in fact, both of us, especially Sri, probably, we are also the what do you call it? the recipient of the benefactors of the training for local talents as well. If we compare MRT Line 1 and MRT Line 2, the proportion of local staff in the role of system integration has increased by easily double, if not almost triple. So once the younger engineers graduated from the first project, they would take up the more senior roles in the following project. So in the span of, let's say, 3 to 4 years, these younger local engineers would have been more familiar with single discipline of railway system engineering. For example, if they have taken up the work of track works and power rail, they would move from that single discipline into another discipline, or in interfacing and integration job. So the younger one will go into a more senior project role, while the, let's say, assistant manager would have been in a better position to take up a managerial role. The fact that the contract value of system is like 4 to 5 billion, so the scope of integration and interfacing is huge. So that creates an opportunity of a group number of local engineers, senior engineers, assistant and managers to develop their experience and skill in that.
Just to add to what Encik Mahadi has just mentioned, system integration team in PDP, basically the majority of them are locals. So we are basically encouraging the local talent. The position range from fresh engineers to higher management level in system integrations, which are led and managed by locals. That's a proud thing to say in MMC Gamuda. Now, how do we grow them and how do we proportion them to what is their interest? Is basically we will look into their experience in the past project, what is their education background in terms of what are the engineering field which is most relevant to what are they expected to be done, and the most important point is their interest, because the interest part is a matter where it is very important for an engineer so that he can excel or perform. So analyzing all these three aspects, then we will assign them to the most appropriate discipline in the system integrations organizations so that they can be perform more efficiently.
Great. I just want to talk about systems and sustainable mobility. How do these two parts work together, or how do you feel systems can be more or are sustainable in the field?
All right, we just had a lot of talks on the earlier symposium on sustainability and also the mobility. So how systems what they call how systems contributes to this is basically of the technology matters. You see, the more the day we are going into technology, the more the easier and the faster that we are being able to move from one position to another position. So of course, whole railway network is now being modernized with all the modern technologies and so on. So this technology aspect in terms of systems is basically helping and assisting us in terms of sustainability and also mobility.
If I can add to that, on the surface, what we can see, if let's say imagine yourself as a commuter, as you walk towards a station, for example, this is not so much on the system to start with, but the features and design of the MRT station itself take to the best aspect of energy conservation, and as you step into the electric train itself, in the design step, it is prioritized that the energy consumption of the traction, how much electricity the train use, for example, it is a priority, you know, to make sure that it is energy efficient. Similarly, our country is super hot. This past few weeks has been very, very hot, for example. The rate at which the air condition is set and how efficient the air condition is being designed and built, that is also another topic, an example of how we really pay a lot of attention on how to use our resources to the best that we can.
Fantastic. Just in almost closing here, but wanted to talk about the contractors and the subcontractors. There's a lot of moving parts, particularly on site. But in what ways has the new technology changed or altered the way we manage all these aspects and all these different moving parts?
All right. I would like to relate that question back to the system integrations. Basically, of course, yes, there's a lot of supply chains in terms of subcontractors, and their nature of engineering obviously differs based on the discipline. How system integration we use technology to address all this input is by using BIM technology, which is quite new in this industry here in Malaysia. So we are using the building information modeling technology to check through virtual designs on the 3D modeling aspect on how is this moving parts and also the wiring, positionings, ergos and so on. So we are trying to integrate all of these aspects by using BIM as a model or a platform that will be able to do the requirement check, the clash analysis and so on. So that is one of the way that we are utilizing technology to address SI matters.
Right. Maybe just to add a little bit more is that when we have multiple contracts and multiple suppliers and contractors, interfacing between contracts technically as well as contractually early and well will avoid a lot of abortive work, wastage of resources. So in project execution, that is very important, and that ties well, I think, to the sustainability push that we are going on, right? The other thing is that supply chain is downwards, but the same level, same tier contract, that is also the horizontal approach of system integration that is equally important.
Fantastic. And just in closing, gentlemen, is there anything that you wanted to add about systems and also the relationship with sustainable mobility? Anything that we haven't covered today? Covered most of it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you both for your time today. Really do appreciate it. I'm sure you've got other things to run back to, but thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.